Well, hello there. Today I am going to wrap this up. We talk about day 4 of the Association for Talent Development International Conference and Exposition. It has been a grand experience. Lots of great conversations, lots of inspiration. Really excited about some of the things that I want to get back and try to do, and just kind of making sense of it all, but lots of great lessons learned. So let me tell you about day 4. I was going to do this last night, but we had a crowd over here enjoying themselves, and didn't want to interrupt them, so I'm doing it first thing this morning. The first session that I started my day with was on ChatGPT, the monumental impact of ChatGPT. The presenter, Jeffrey Hansler, he admitted he's not a tech guy, but this is one of the reasons that he likes ChatGPT, because he pointed out that ChatGPT is learning how to program in English, and you don't need any special programming skills. Anybody could jump in and just use English in order to get results, right? So really, really powerful things, okay? Talked about some of the concerns that people have with ChatGPT. Big one is job loss. I've heard it over and over and over again. Those individuals who are going to lose their job due to AI are the ones that are not using AI. So if you are on the fence, you're skeptical, get over it. AI is here, it's going to stay, it's going to become more pronounced. You have to learn how to use it. Your job depends on it, right? So get out there and do it. This is going to change teaching. I work in higher ed. This is going to have a significant impact of teaching. We can no longer teach the way that we have taught. Things have changed. Things have radically changed, and we have to make those adjustments, okay? I have mentioned this over and over. The most important thing about ChatGPT is learning how to craft the proper response. You have to have foundational knowledge, but there's ways to craft a prompt that will get you the best results. Being as specific as possible helps you, but there's other little strategies. And the table I was sitting at, we were having a great time learning about those strategies, talking about those strategies, sharing ideas. The instructor, I could say, could have been prepped a little better, right? He was running into some issues that really didn't test it ahead of time in that particular environment, and so things weren't going as smoothly as possible. What he was showing, when he could show it, was great, but not everything worked. And so that was kind of a challenge. He did show off some of the extensions, voice for ChatGPT, and also the web ChatGPT, Google extensions that you could add on that I like, or web ChatGPT. Those are good ones. He talked about using how you can use Zapier to make connections between different applications and use it in conjunction with ChatGPT. I am not familiar with this, but this is something that I'm going to see. He did the classical things that I would do. He wrote an email, which I thought, pretty straightforward. That's what he did. But he did it in the voice of Snoop Dogg, which was absolutely hilarious. So I'm going to be adding that to my repertoire. All in all, I did not walk away with a lot of really new insights about ChatGPT, just reinforced the ones that I already knew. So got to share my book, right? 80 Ways to Use ChatGPT in the Classroom. Put that out there, and folks have been signing up for my book, so I've been really happy with that. The next session I went to was called Game On, How to Create and Deliver Training Game Shows with Brian Walter. He is from Training Bits, and this was just an absolutely fun, inspirational presentation. I really enjoyed it. Games are tremendously powerful, but you have to set them up. You have to do them correctly. And if you watch TV game shows, you get the formula. If you watch late night TV, you get the formula on how to do it. So he started off with a very easy game, called finger polling, right? 1, 2, 3, right? And based on the poll, everybody's had their hand up and voted. But he ran it as a game show, and it really energized the room. So that was kind of really cool. One of the things he talked about, is a game really a game, or is it just a test, right? A test is not a game, right? So is it a game? So 1, did folks do something? 2, were there rules for the game? Was it fun? Was it fast? Was there a prize, whether it's tangible or emotional, right? The emotional one is like, are you better than your peers? Were you the winner of this, right? But most importantly, you have to acknowledge where they're at, okay? Games have to have learning value, right? If you're introducing them into a course, it can't be just a game, but it has to be a game that's tied into what the learning is. How can you tie those together, okay? He offered different ways, to, as far as using games, right? Introducing participants to training topics, different ways he did it, where you're not going to make somebody feel bad, right? The idea is it's got to be fun. You don't want to make people feel bad, and there's a way that you can do it with the game, okay? Different reasons why you would use a game. Prepare participants, that you're trying to change a mindset, you're covering, content, building group dynamics, networking opportunities, that you need volunteers, different ways of doing that, right? And like I said, it really is tying back to the objective or the why. Why are you doing this, and designed for that, okay? Another game that I really enjoyed was called Fact or Crap, right? And basically everybody stood up, and when something came up, you had to, statement, you had to have them say fact or crap, right? If they got it wrong, they had to sit down. And eventually, he said, usually within 10 questions, you had the ultimate winner, right? But everybody learned something, right? And he was explaining why these things worked. So that was a lot of fun. Talked about game setup, right? You need to frame the game. What's going to happen? It's got to have a name. It's got to have a cool name. Fact or crap, or the finger polling or flag polling, right? Whatever the name is, there needs to be a logo, a jingle, and rules, right? And basically, like I said, replicating this TV game show idea and make it fun, make it so you can learn things, okay? Talked about different type of respondees, right? So you have the known, where you know who the person is, right? You're calling them up on stage. It's like The Price is Right. You know who they are. They're coming up there. They're making a decision, and you're bringing them up, okay? But don't make the questions like a quiz, right? Where they will lose face in front of their peers. Make the questions more unexpected, and to get value out of that, okay? Use one called Sales IQ, and use different questions, true and false, multiple choice, fill in the blank, right? So some of the things that we're already doing, but how you can weave them into a game show, right? he did something that was kind of cool, right? That if he had a prize that he was handing out, it was actually a $20 bill. He was handing this out. He did it 3 times, right, as he was demonstrating this. Not sure if I do that, but basically is, if you got the question right, you got the prize. If you got the question wrong, you could identify someone in your row who you would like to give the prize to, right? And that was kind of cool, right? So everybody got to participate and win, and no hard feelings. Semi-anonymous, right? We did that with the flag polling, right? Using colored flags or colored cards. Everybody's involved, physically involved, and could be seen, but not really identified. You kind of look around the room who was doing that, but you're mostly focused on the color of the cards, right? And then the last group was fully anonymous, right? So you're doing these online puzzles, online polling, things like that, okay? Couple warnings: don't provide commentary. Don't slow the game down because you want to turn it into a lesson, right? Just keep the game going, right? And don't, do things that drag, change the mood of the conversation, right? So, talked about 3 reasons that trainers don't use games. 1, they have a lack of purpose, right? They don't have a purpose behind it. They don't have the tools available to them, and they just lack confidence, right? But if you had the right tools, the right script, somebody demoed this for you, you could weave games into your classroom. So definitely a lesson I'm going to take back. I think it's some things we could jazz up some instruction. So that was a good one. Another session I went to was called Culture Eats Strategy for Lunch. I got a couple resources out of that, but pretty much I left halfway, right? I was not satisfied with that, and so I left. And then we ended the conference with Leslie Odom Jr., who was in Hamilton, and that was kind of cool. Holly Ransom was still the MC, right? One of the things that she passed on was that Tina Turner passed away, all right? There was folks were kind of bummed about that, but she summarized, what the past 2 days or the past 3 days were like, going back to Adam Grant, talking about rethinking your networks, right, where you get value, and also that statement, what are you waiting for, right? If you say you want to do something, what are you waiting for? Go on, get on it, and do it. And also tied into Priya Parker's conversation, dealing with focus on purpose, in terms of gatherings, how to build that proper social infrastructure, and really emphasizing that the gathering starts at the invitation, right? And the challenge was, go out and do something with what you learned. So one of the things that I always do is write a trip report on my conference. And so I'll be working on a trip report as I'm heading back to Rhode Island, taking the train, and I'll be working on my trip report. One way that I'm doing that is I'm using Otter AI to capture my notes, right? So I can turn them maybe into blog posts. I can do other things with them, but also use the bullets to help, with the trip report. So that's what I'm going to be doing. The band, right? Song Division, they came out and they did the anthem, right? Through the whole conference, people have been adding lyrics, and finally they did the anthem, and it was just a great thing. This is definitely a fun group, right? They're really skilled, and it was just kind of cool. So Leslie Odom Jr. came out, and he spoke. The speaking part, it was really an interview with Holly Ransom. I wasn't engaged in that. I simply wasn't engaged. He talked about a lot of important things, right? Having good role models, seizing upon opportunities, but knowing when to say no to other opportunities, right? You control those yeses and nos and what you do. So he turned down a role on Broadway. And as he said, the sky didn't fall, right? So he had that. So understanding that we have the power to say no. But one of the things he did mention is every day you have different amount of energy, right? But when you go into something, it's important to give 100%, right? And he was talking about a fitness trainer. He says, the thing is regardless of the day you're having, be there 100% and do that, right? So this is particularly a moment in time, and seize upon that moment, right? He highlighted that he loves storytelling because he really tapped into the personal aspects of it, right? Talked about mentors who make two things available to him, right? Their time and also their honesty or truth, right? And the fact that your life is not separate, right? You don't do just things at work, and you don't do things just in your personal life. That it's a meld. Things that you're doing in your personal life will affect what you do in work, and things that you do in work can go back and affect your personal life, and just kind of understand this, okay? And highlighted, the last couple things that I made notes of was make a contract with yourself. Write it down what you are going to do each day, right? And try to live up to that contract. And then also once a week, do something entirely by yourself. Go take time to get to know yourself, get to enjoy yourself, go out and have, as he said, an artist date. And so those were the things that I picked up from Leslie Odom Jr. And then he got up and sang, and man, can this guy sing. Absolutely a great way to end the conference. Just absolutely wonderful. But also, after that, I went out to dinner with Wendy Picard, who is the president of the Bay Colonies chapter. We went to Old Town, San Diego, and just had an enjoyable evening, got to know each other a little better, and it was just fun. And the idea of networking and building these networks was tremendously rewarding this week. I had an opportunity to do that. Hanging out with the other chapter leaders, just a great time. It's actually got me excited about going to New Orleans, if nothing else, just to hang out with the chapter leaders. So yeah, go to New Orleans, right? See you at the next ATD-ICE conference, and yeah, keep on learning, right? Make the world a better place, okay? That's kind of the goal of ATD, is help the world work better. So thank you. I'm getting ready to get on my train and head back to Rhode Island. So we'll chat with you soon. Bye for now.